I've not had much to say about the Conservative race for PM because it's not something we have any say in. This is not something that's open for general public, which I find quite comical. The amount of people, the amount of Brexiteers who are so for this when they seem to use Europe as a scapegoat. Oh, we have no control, we have no say, it's not democracy. Well, we are not going to have a say in who our next Prime Minister is. This will be the wealthy establishment picking their boy to be number 10. And it seems like Boris Johnson is the fan favourite. So far, it's come down to Jeremy Hunt and Johnson. Jeremy Hunt can't remember which nationality his wife is and has the honour of knowing that the only doctor's strike in recent history, at the very least, happened under his watch. And of course, his response to that was, well, junior doctors are just being lazy. But Boris Johnson is a scumbag. Now, I've said this before. In fact, one of my earlier videos on this channel was me ranting and raving about Boris Johnson, and it wasn't the first time I've made that video. But Johnson seems to be bulletproof, much like Donald Trump, and it is haunting. There is a serious problem in this country, as in America, where we just refuse to hold politicians accountable. Now, if Jeremy Corbyn had been recorded ranting, raving, yelling, and the police had come out, it would be plastered everywhere, and Corbyn would be condemned from here to high hell over and over and over again. People on the right would be screaming, "You see, he's not fit to lead." But because this is Boris Johnson, instead these attacks are going to the neighbours. If I in this flat could hear my next door neighbours screaming and shouting at the top of their lungs, and me using this to record them, that's not an invasion of privacy. That is a serious issue that would need to be reported. It is a serious issue that Johnson needed to be reported. But of course, mainstream media is protecting him because despite this man's long history of being an absolute piece of human garbage, he has been protected over and over again. This man is a pathological liar, and yet he has accomplished something that's very rare. As a pretend journalist, he lost his job from lying, which is practically unheard of. And as a minister, he lost his job because he lied. Again, unheard of. But we seem to have this notion that Boris Johnson is competent in his job role. And there is a growing notion that I've seen where people genuinely think that Boris Johnson will be able to get a better deal than Theresa May. Now, I didn't like May's deal at all. It got rid of all the protections that we are definitely going to miss leaving Europe and leaving the European Court of Justice. But Boris Johnson is not going to be able to get a better deal. First and foremost, Europe have been very clear from the get-go. There's not been games. There's not been BS thrown about. Well, there has been, but it's been from our side, from people like Jacob Rees-Mogg. They've said negotiations are over. Come 31st, if you're still not ready, tough shit. We've been preparing? No, we haven't. Again, I've used this analogy before of the Brexiteer being the guy who goes into the doctor's office. The Remainer is the doctor saying, look, you've got X, Y, and Z wrong, but it's okay because we can do these things. And the Brexiteer stands up and says, no, fake news, and then walks off. Nothing has been done, and Boris Johnson is incapable of doing anything. This is what will happen. He will sell everything off to America. He will bend over, he will praise Donald Trump. We will go to a war with Iran, as long as Russia permits Donald Trump to do that. And that will be it. We would have royally fucked it, because for some reason, and I genuinely don't understand this, we refuse to hold politicians accountable for what they've said and what they've done. Again, if Jeremy Corbyn had done 1/10 of what Boris Johnson had done, he would be destroyed every single goddamn day all over mainstream media. But because it's Boris, because it's a Conservative, nah.